Like like he was not breathing. So I nudged him like, babe, wake up. And then he'd catch his breath. I'm like, dude, you just stopped breathing in your sleep. And I saved him.
Once known as an unstoppable giant who ruled the NBA with pure power and dominance, Shaquille O'Neal now finds himself surrounded by growing concerns that few saw coming. From health struggles and physical limitations to the quiet challenges of life after fame, the story behind the legend is becoming more complicated than ever before. The man who once shattered backboards and intimidated entire teams is now facing battles far from the spotlight of the court. So what really changed for the Hall of Famer everyone thought was untouchable? Let's break it down. A legend facing a silent battle. At first glance, it still looks like success has never left Shaquille O'Neal. The image is almost unchanged in the public eye. The trophies still shine in the memories of fans. The money, the fame, and the global respect he earned during his playing days are still strongly attached to his name. From the outside, it may even seem like life has only gotten better with time, as he continues to appear in media, sports discussions, and public events with the same larger-than-life presence that once made him unstoppable on the basketball court. But behind this powerful image of success, there is a very different story unfolding in 2026. It is a side of his life that is not often seen in highlight reels or interviews. Away from the cameras and cheering crowds, Shaquille O'Neal is facing real and ongoing physical challenges that have changed the rhythm of his daily life. The body that once dominated the paint, pushed through defenders with ease, and carried teams to championships is now dealing with the long-term effects of those intense years of professional play. One of the biggest struggles comes from chronic pain that has built up over time. Years of running, jumping, landing, and constant contact in the NBA have left lasting pressure on his body. What once felt effortless on the court has now turned into daily discomfort that he has to manage carefully. Simple movements are no longer taken for granted, and recovery has become an important part of his routine. Along with this, major changes in body weight over the years have added even more difficulty to his physical condition. These shifts have placed extra strain on his body, making movement and overall comfort more challenging than before. It is a reminder that even the strongest athletes are not untouched by time and wear. Perhaps most serious of all is his struggle with sleep apnea, a condition that affects breathing during sleep. This has turned something as natural as resting into something that requires attention and support. Medical devices are now part of his nightly routine, helping him breathe properly so he can rest more safely and consistently. For a man who once overwhelmed entire teams with strength, speed, and power, this new reality is hard to imagine. The same figure who once looked unstoppable on the hardwood now depends on careful health management just to get through the night safely. It is a powerful reminder that behind fame and greatness, there is always a human story, one filled with challenges, change, and the quiet fight to stay well each day. Shaquille O'Neal, whose name is synonymous with strength and accomplishment, is presently going through pain he never anticipated. But what could have been the reason for these challenges? Could this be the price of his years of dedication to his career? And could his physical features have also contributed to the pain? Let's uncover the emotional details. The cost of being Superman on the court. For many years, Shaquille O'Neal was an unstoppable force in the NBA, using his huge size and strength to dominate every game. He overpowered defenders with ease and made basketball look simple. But behind the highlights and championships, his body was quietly paying the price. Years of hard collisions, heavy landings, and constant contact slowly caused damage. What looked like pure dominance on the outside was also a long, painful physical sacrifice on the inside. At 7 feet, 1 inch, his body carried more force and stress than most players ever experience. Every jump, every dunk, and every landing added pressure to joints that worked beyond normal limits. Over time, what once looked like dominance on the court turned into lasting damage off it. Today, those battles are no longer memories. They are part of his daily reality. Pain in his hips, knees, and lower body has become something he must manage constantly. The same strength that once powered him through defenders now makes recovery more difficult. Even simple movements can sometimes remind him of the years he spent playing at the highest level. Every day, life now requires more care, patience, and attention than it ever did before. The hips and knees that once drove his unstoppable power now carry the weight of his entire career. Years of intense play have left behind wear that cannot simply be undone. What fans saw as strength on the court is now something his body pays for each day. Rest, recovery, and careful movement have become an important part of how he lives. For Shaquille O'Neal, the story is no longer only about dominance and trophies. It is also about living with the long-term effects of a career that pushed the human body to its limits. And while his legacy remains untouchable, his present reality is far more complicated than most people realize. The once dominant giant of the game now lives with reminders of every battle he fought on the hardwood. And those reminders are not fading. They are shaping his life in ways the world rarely sees. Each day is a quiet test of endurance, patience, and strength in a different form. What was once a career defined by power is now a life shaped by careful balance and ongoing recovery. And it all serves as a reminder that even legends must face the lasting impact of their greatest achievements. Shaquille O'Neal's journey shows that true greatness often comes with hidden sacrifices that only become clear years later. Behind every highlight is a human cost time eventually reveals, no matter how strong he once was. Pain remains, but he keeps moving forward with strength. The intense physical dedication Shaquille O'Neal gave to the sport he loved is now taking a serious toll on his health after retirement. But did he completely walk away from training and physical activity after retirement, possibly contributing to his current condition? Now, let's uncover Shaquille O'Neal after the spotlight. From global fame to quiet isolation. Even after stepping away from professional basketball, Shaquille O'Neal did not fade into the background. In fact, he seemed to be everywhere. His face appeared on TV shows, his voice filled commercials, and his name stayed active in business deals, brand partnerships, and public events. From sports analysis to entertainment appearances, he built a second career that kept him constantly in the spotlight. To many people, it looked like retirement had only expanded his success, not reduced it. But over time, something about fame began to change shape for him. The loud energy of packed arenas, screaming fans, and game night pressure was replaced by something very different. Life became less noisy, less fast, and in some ways, more distant. The world still knew his name, but his daily routine no longer had the same chaos and excitement that once defined his basketball years. Instead of roaring crowds and team energy, his days often became quieter. The moments between work and appearances stretched longer. In those spaces, there was less noise from the outside world and more room for personal thoughts. What once felt like non-stop movement slowly turned into a life with more stillness. And in that stillness, he began to experience a different side of success, one that many people do not see when they imagine fame. With that success also came something unexpected: solitude. His achievements grew into a massive empire, filled with wealth, property, and influence. But alongside that growth came long, empty spaces. Large homes that once symbolized victory sometimes felt too quiet. Mornings that used to begin with team meetings or game preparations were now slower, often spent in reflection rather than action. The louder his career once was, the quieter his personal moments became. The same fame that brought him into millions of homes also created a distance in his own. There were times when the energy of the crowd felt far away, almost like a memory rather than a daily experience. For Shaquille O'Neal, this shift showed a different side of success. It was no longer just about winning games or building wealth. It became about adjusting to a new kind of life, one where attention is still close, but connection can feel lower. A life where achievements are many, but quiet moments are even more present. In the end, the bigger his empire grew, the more space there seemed to be for silence. And in that silence, fame revealed something most people never think about: that success can bring both admiration from the world and loneliness in private moments. After retirement, Shaquille O'Neal ventured into many businesses and projects to avoid living an idle life. But did he truly succeed in his business journey after leaving the NBA? Was all the wealth, fame, and success enough to prevent or even reduce the painful struggles and tragedies that later entered his life? Let's uncover the astonishing details. A fortune built on reinvention. Unlike many athletes, Shaquille O'Neal didn't stop after leaving basketball. Instead, he built a new life beyond the court, stepping into business and entertainment. Over time, he created a huge empire through smart investments, restaurant franchises, media appearances, endorsements, and brand partnerships across different industries. What began as basketball fame gradually grew into massive financial success worth hundreds of millions of dollars. His journey proved he was not only a dominant champion on the court, but also a clever and strategic thinker in the business world. Many people expected him to relax after retirement, but he did the opposite. He kept working, learning, and expanding his influence. He appeared in boardrooms instead of locker rooms, discussing deals instead of game plans. Every decision he made added another layer to his growing empire. His name became not just a sports legend, but also a brand that carried weight in business circles. This proved that his mind was just as strong as his physical presence once was in the NBA. Still, even with all this success, there were limits money could not cross. No matter how large his fortune grew, there were things it could not bring back. Wealth could not restore lost time. It could not replace the long years spent traveling, training, and playing under pressure. It could not undo the toll that constant competition placed on his body and personal life. There were moments when the silence of success felt heavy. Private time could not be bought, and health could not be fully controlled by money. Even with luxury, comfort, and global recognition, some parts of life remained out of reach. The busy schedule that built his empire also took away simple moments that many people take for granted. In the end, his story became more than just about money or fame. It became about balance, sacrifice, and the hidden cost of greatness. Because while he proved he could win in business just like he did in basketball, he also learned that some things in life cannot be recovered, no matter how successful a person becomes. Even today, Shaquille O'Neal's journey continues to inspire many young athletes who see him as proof that life after sports can still be successful, meaningful, and full of purpose. But behind the fame and admiration, he often reflects on how tough the path really was and how much he had to sacrifice to reach that level of greatness. His story is a powerful reminder that true success comes with hidden costs that remain long after the cheers fade, shaping every new chapter of his life beyond basketball. Shaquille O'Neal achieved success far beyond basketball, yet that achievement could not shield him from life's struggles when they arrived. But did he have a strong family structure to support him where money and fame could not? Or did he sacrifice close family bonds in his pursuit of greatness and wealth? Now, let's explore the hidden emotional cost of fame. The family struggles behind the spotlight. Behind all the public success, bright lights, and endless achievements, there was another part of life that never appeared on camera. For Shaquille O'Neal, the story at home was far more complex and quiet. While the world saw a confident champion, a business mind, and a larger-than-life personality, his personal life carried its own weight, one that could not be measured in trophies, money, or fame. Over the years, he faced real challenges in his closest relationships. Marriage struggles and eventually divorce became part of his journey, bringing emotional pain that no success in sports or business could erase. These moments were not loud or public in the same way as his career, but they were deeply personal and long-lasting. They shaped how he saw life beyond basketball and fame. At the same time away from his children created another layer of difficulty. His demanding career in the NBA, followed by constant travel, media work, and business commitments, meant that he was often physically present in the world, but not always at home. Important family moments were sometimes missed, not because of a lack of love, but because of the heavy demands of a life always in motion. Slowly, this created emotional distance. The home that once felt full of energy, laughter, movement, and everyday chaos began to feel different. What used to be a busy family space gradually shifted into something quieter. There were more moments of separation, more time spent thinking, and more reflection about how life had unfolded. The noise of success outside the home often contrasts with the silence inside it. What makes this part of his story even more powerful is the contradiction within it. The same drive that helped him dominate basketball courts and build a massive empire was also the same drive that pulled him away from home at times. His ambition pushed him forward into greatness, but it also created distance from the very people he deeply cared about and wanted to protect. This is one of the hidden truths behind many successful lives. Achievement often demands time, energy, and sacrifice. In his case, it meant balancing the pressure of being a global icon with the responsibility of being a father and partner. And like many who chase greatness, the balance was not always perfect. In quiet moments, the truth becomes clearer. His success earned respect worldwide, but at home, it also brought regret, reflection, and emotional lessons. It shows that even the most powerful people still face very human struggles in private, where fame cannot solve anything and only honesty and self-awareness truly remain. Shaquille's rise to success came with sacrifices that strained his closest family relationships. But could the loss of strong disciplinary figures in his life affect his understanding of how to maintain those family bonds? And what happens when a person grows without consistent mentors to guide them through the different stages of life? Let's find out. The emotional weight of losing anchors. Life became even heavier for Shaquille O'Neal when the people who helped shape who he became started to disappear one by one. For many years, his strength did not only come from his size, talent, or discipline on the basketball court. It also came from the strong figures around him, especially the man who raised him with structure and tough love. His stepfather, Sergeant Philip Harrison, had a major influence on his life. He was strict, disciplined, and firm, but his guidance gave Shaq direction and purpose. He taught him respect, structure, and the importance of hard work, shaping both the athlete and the man behind the fame. While he was alive, he served as a grounding force and moral compass. But after his passing, that steady guidance disappeared. The loss was not only emotional, but also felt like losing the inner compass that once kept him focused and on the right path in life. Around the same time, another painful moment came with the death of his biological father. That relationship had already carried years of emotional distance and unanswered questions. His father had not always been present during his childhood, and that absence left quiet wounds that never fully healed. Even so, the loss brought a strange mix of feelings: sadness, confusion, and reflection. It marked the end of a chapter that had always been complicated, filled with both longing and unresolved emotions. Losing both father figures in such a short period forced him to face something he may have pushed aside for much of his adult life: questions about identity, family, and forgiveness. Who am I without the people who shaped my early life? What does it mean to forgive someone who was not always there? And how do you move forward when parts of your past are still emotionally unfinished? These were not easy questions, and they did not have simple answers. Instead, they came slowly, often during quiet moments when the noise of fame, business, and public life faded away. In those moments, reflection replaced action, and memories became more present than achievements. For someone known to the world as strong, dominant, and almost unstoppable, these personal losses revealed a different kind of strength, one that is quiet, emotional, and deeply human. It showed that even the biggest figures in sports and life are still shaped by the people they lose, and the questions those losses leave behind. In the end, these moments did not just mark the passing of family members. They marked a turning point inside him, a reminder that behind every public legend is a private story filled with love, pain, memory, and the lifelong search for understanding. Beyond Shaquille O'Neal facing the harsh reality of losing both fatherly figures in his life, what else has he been forced to endure through illness and aging? And how deeply has it bothered and troubled him over time? Now, let's dive into Shaquille O'Neal's silent battle. Health scares that changed everything. As the years went by, Shaquille O'Neal began to notice something he had never truly faced during his playing days. His body was no longer silently enduring everything. Instead, it started sending clear warnings that could not be ignored. The strength and endurance that once made him feel almost unstoppable on the basketball court were now being tested in a completely different way, far away from the game. One of the most serious health problems Shaquille O'Neal faced was sleep apnea, a condition that made it hard for him to breathe properly while sleeping. Rest, which should be natural and peaceful, became a medical concern that needed close attention. Nights were no longer simple recovery time, but carefully managed with medical support. He had to use a breathing machine to help keep steady airflow through the night, a major shift for a man once known for unstoppable strength and dominance on the basketball court. At the same time, his weight also became a serious concern. Over the years, it reached levels that doctors considered dangerous. This was not something that happened overnight. It came slowly, as years of intense physical strain, retirement lifestyle changes, and natural aging all combined. Eventually, it became clear that adjustments were necessary, not just for comfort, but for survival and long-term health. Doctors who examined him made it clear that his body was no longer operating the way it used to. The warning was serious and direct. The same body that once handled extreme pressure in the NBA was now struggling to maintain balance in everyday health. For someone who spent his entire life being seen as physically dominant, hearing this kind of news was difficult to accept. This new reality felt strange and unsettling. In his playing days, his biggest challenges were opponents on the court, other players trying to stop his power and presence in the paint. But now, the opponent was not outside of him. It was inside his own body. His health had become the new battle, and it required a completely different kind of strength to manage. Instead of crowd noise and game pressure, he now dealt with doctor visits, medical advice, and lifestyle changes. The focus shifted from performance to survival, from dominance to balance. It was no longer about winning championships, but about protecting his future. This turning point revealed a hard truth. Even the greatest athletes are not protected from time, injury, or health struggles. Once seen as unstoppable, his real battle became learning to care for the same body that once carried him to greatness and fame. Doctors have warned Shaquille O'Neal that his body is no longer functioning the way it once did. But how long can he continue to manage a body that is slowly breaking down? Could this condition eventually lead to a major surgery? And if it does, what kind of reality will he face afterward? Let's uncover the sad details. Shaquille O'Neal, after the game. After many fierce years in the NBA, Shaquille O'Neal reached a point he never faced during his playing days. His body could no longer deliver the same power it once did easily. He was famous for raw strength, unstoppable drives, and powerful dunks that made him dominant and feared on every court. Dunking defined his greatness, but as time moved on, his frame began to slow and change, showing that no strength can escape the limits that age brings to everyone. After years of intense games, physical contact, and constant pressure on his joints, his body started revealing the true cost of greatness. Each jump, landing, and collision slowly built up damage over time. What once felt easy and natural gradually became painful and risky. In the end, he had to accept a hard truth. His signature moves were no longer safe for his health. Following a successful hip replacement surgery, Shaq made a very honest admission. He explained that he now avoids high-impact movements, especially those that put too much stress on his joints. The goal is no longer to dominate or overpower, but to protect what is left of his mobility. It was a major shift from the mindset he had during his playing days, when pushing the body to its limit was normal. Now, his relationship with his body is completely different. Instead of treating it like a tool for explosive performance, he treats it more like something delicate that needs care and attention. Every movement he makes in daily life is more thoughtful. Nothing is rushed or careless. There is no more explosive energy in the way he moves, only caution, awareness, and control. Steps are no longer heavy statements of power, but careful actions meant to preserve balance. Even simple physical activities require a level of awareness that was never necessary during his peak years. The body that once seemed unstoppable now requires patience and respect. This transformation is a quiet but powerful reminder of something many athletes eventually learn. No matter how dominant, strong, or fearless a player once was, the human body always has its limits. Years of pushing beyond those limits eventually leave a mark. Shaq's story is not only about decline, but about change and adjustment. After a life built on power and dominance, he now lives more carefully. The man who once shattered backboards now moves with caution, shaped by the wear his body has endured. In the end, his journey shows a simple truth. Greatness on the court may fade, but wisdom about the body and its limits becomes even more important with time. Shaquille O'Neal has confessed that he can no longer perform the high-impact movements that once defined his success after undergoing hip replacement surgery. But what lesson has this new reality taught him about life, health, and longevity? And is it still possible for him to make peace with past choices? Now, let's explore Shaquille O'Neal beyond the legend. A giant learning to live with limits. Today, the life of Shaquille O'Neal is no longer centered around dominance, power, or control like it once was during his NBA years. The days of overpowering opponents, shaking arenas, and defining games with pure strength have slowly been replaced by something much quieter, but far more personal. Now, his life is about survival, adjustment, and learning how to move forward in a completely different way. Instead of getting ready for big games or chasing trophies, his attention now turns to something more human and steady. Every day is a new chance to care for his health, one small step at a time. There are no bright lights, no cheering fans, and no final score at the end. It is a quiet life focused on simple choices that keep him strong, active, and fully present, learning to value well-being over fame and pressure in life itself. At the same time, he has been putting effort into rebuilding and strengthening relationships with his children. These moments matter in ways that go beyond fame or money. They are about connection, time, and understanding. After years of a busy career filled with travel, pressure, and constant demands, he now has more space to focus on family more deeply and intentionally. It is not always easy, and it does not happen overnight, but it is something he continues to work on with patience and honesty. Even though the world still remembers him as Superman, that image no longer fully defines who he is today. The nickname remains part of his legacy, but life has shown him that even superheroes in real life have limits. Strength is no longer only about physical power or dominance on the court. It is also about accepting change, facing reality, and learning how to live within new boundaries. This new chapter of his life carries important lessons. One of the biggest is the understanding that greatness does not protect anyone from time, health challenges, or emotional struggles. No matter how strong someone once was, life eventually requires adjustment. For him, that means slowing down, listening to his body, and focusing on what truly matters beyond fame. In many ways, this stage of his journey is not about winning in the traditional sense anymore. It is about something deeper and more meaningful. It is about staying alive, staying connected, and staying human in a world that once only saw him as larger than life. The victories are no longer measured in points or trophies, but in everyday moments of peace, health, and family connection. His journey now moves in a new direction, no longer as the unstoppable force on the court, but as a man learning to adjust, accept change, and grow. In this quieter phase of life, he discovers that true victory is personal, peaceful, and built on inner strength. So, what do you think about Shaq's situation? Could it have been less severe if he had strong immediate family support? We would love to hear your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe.